Hello everybody. So today is going to be another video. It's actually going to be a new video and we're going to do it on one-on-ones. So today I have Fragments here with me and we're going to be doing a one-on-one lesson. And we're going to go over some points that I wanted to go over and teach them some stuff. So Fragments, say hi to everybody.
Hello, everyone.
So yeah. The first thing that you wanted to talk about is when to spray, burst, and tap, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead and go spec real quick. And we'll just use Dust 2 as kind of our thing to do here, I guess. What spot do you normally like to play here on Dust 2?
For CT's cat.
Cat, okay. Okay, and normally you'll probably have a second guy here, but we'll just go over, we'll kind of use this area since you like it better. So when it comes to bursting and spraying and tapping, it is really just situational. So depending on how far away you are, how close he is, and I guess you can just say it's pretty much distance and then how many people are about to be on your screen. So for instance, I guess from this distance, I really wouldn't try and spray like this far. If you're holding this angle, you're peeking for the guy that's peeking the corner. So I would just tap it first, you know, do something like that, or you can just hold down and keep bursting. Now, a lot of times when you are in that spot, you have to make sure that you watch out for the guy who jumps up here to peek you, and then also below here. So
Now, when you burst, do you, like, after the first bullet comes out, do you, like, pull down a little bit, or...?
No, because well, it depends. Zonda, can you come here real quick? On cat.
Nope.
So when you're doing it, a lot of times when I aim my crosshair, I do it right at the chest, so I don't have to pull down. So when I do 3 or 4 shots, it should hit him to the head, but that also depends on how far the body is from me. So the farther away he is, the a little bit lower I have to aim because I have to compensate for the recoil going up, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now you can, I mean, there is no problem with you like shooting and pulling down because you can just do this. That's fine because you're still going to get pretty much a headshot. But if you're going to aim at the body, I would do it like right at the neck if you want to do that. Which you can do that because, I mean, if you're going to spray, like if you start bursting, you go into a spray and then pull down, you know, you should be okay.
Okay.
So it's really up to you. It's just, once again, it's personal preference on how you want to do it. Because some players, there used to be like a Chinese team in 1.6 that they honestly would just have their crosshair hit like right at the freaking waistline there, and they would just hold it down and it would just go right up to the head on their like 5th or 6th bullet. It's pretty crazy. So, but most people, I want to say, pull down when they're bursting. So they'll aim a little bit higher to compensate for that.
Yeah, that, or they'll aim lower and have it go up.
Yeah. Now, when they start getting like this far on cat, I would say it will be okay to spray here. That's when I start spraying at that distance, especially if I'm playing this spot. Because a lot of times if you're gonna burst, so like let's say a guy's coming up cat, right? This would be what I would do. You know, something like that. If I was imagining,
I've been having trouble aiming up close, so I usually end up like crouching just to try to control it more.
okay,
Is that a bad thing? Because I know I
crouching
a lot when I crouch.
doesn't affect recoil in this game at all. Here, I'll show you. So this is standing. And crouching. You can see it's pretty much the same exact thing.
Yeah. Wow.
So the reason why hold on. The reason why people crouch is it's going to change the body height, and it's also going to change the way the model looks. So see Zondo crouching there? Now stand up. So you just see. So what the idea is for is if somebody's coming out to peek you and you crouch, that he's aiming up high, so he's still aiming up high and it just changes the angle, so he misses his shot. So like if we're sitting here in a firefight and we're both spraying and I go from standing to ducking like halfway through, my hope is that he's aiming up higher, so when I crouch it, it messes up his aim a little bit, so he has to pull back down to compensate for me crouching, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
a lot of times, like, I'll press crouch for no reason just because I got like startled. Like if I'm playing somewhere here like as a terrorist and I don't know there's a guy lower and he comes out, a lot of times I might just like crouch like that just because I'm trying to change my head level because he has the advantage coming out because he's already like expecting me, you know. Because the big part of this game,
I panic spray up close.
yeah, a lot of people do when they don't know somebody's coming. The biggest thing you have to work on though when spraying is following the body. So like what you could do is, let's see, I need a good example here. Here, okay. So you see these lines right here? So what you could do, this distance is an okay distance I guess to do it. So you could do something like this to work on your spray, like following stuff. Oop, hold on, need more bullets. So you could do something like this. And try and hit as much as you can on the actual line, you know? So you can pretend like this is a body, and that's a body. And you just work on it. If that makes some sense.
Yeah.
Because the biggest thing that people have is when they're spraying at multiple targets, they don't really know like where the recoil is. Like a lot of experienced players do just because of the feel. So you would have to sit here and practice, especially for you only playing this game for a week. That would probably actually be a really good thing for you to do. Is just work on a wall. I mean, you don't even have to like. You don't have to like make this the spot that you want to spray at. Like you go from here to there. You don't have to do that. You can if you want, but you really don't have to. You can even just sit here on a plain wall and just start spraying random spots just to see when you move where the recoil is hitting. Oh man, I keep forgetting ammo here. Alright, so like this. And every time you move, you just try and control it more, you know? Like, see, this was good, that was good, and this was bad because it's spread out more on me. So when I went from here to there, I should have controlled it a little bit better like I did on the first time and the second time.
Okay.
So, but that's probably the best thing you could do for yourself, especially only being here for about a week, you know. But yeah, so like distance-wise, you'll kind of learn over time. But I would say when it comes to spraying, we'll make this like the wall here. I would only spray at a target probably right in that general area, probably that far away, at least in this game for now. And then when he's back at least that far, I would try and just tap. If that helps you at all.
No, no.
Either tap or burst. Now there is times where like he's that far away and I'll sit here and spray. It really depends on how I'm feeling for the day. Like if I feel like my spray's really on, then I'll just sit there and start spraying him down. And yeah, so like multiple targets. Like let's say Zombies with one of his buddies, and he comes out. A lot of times I'll try and tap. So I'll do something like this. This is a huge gun shooting method in 1.6. So what they'll do is, let me find a wall. So in like 1.6, a lot of the top players now are doing, they'll do a burst and then they'll go into a spray like this. So you see how you stop for a second to like reset the recoil and then start spraying? That's what a lot of 1.6 players have started doing. So you could even bring it over to this game. I haven't tried it that much. Sometimes they'll even do a tapping and then go into a spray, so they'll do this. Which is probably a little bit better than trying to burst it. So if you sit here and you're trying to tap a guy at long, right? So like let's say Zombies there and you're like, you do something like that, then that's okay. Because your tapping is resetting your recoil every time. So when you do go into your spray, you're not going to lose out on your bullets to go all crazy. Because did you watch the M4 video I did on the spray?
Yeah, I've watched all the videos.
Okay, so whenever you do a spray pattern, your first 3 bullets are always going to be pretty much consistent, right? So your first 2 bullets will be pretty close, then the third one goes up a little bit, but then the fourth is what's starting your recoil. So when you're tapping, every time you tap, it resets your recoil after it rests. If that makes sense. So the reason why 1.6 players will do a tap and then go into a spray is because if they know multiple targets are coming out, they'll just start spraying afterwards. Or if they know they hit the guy like twice, then they'll just start spraying because they feel that they'll get more bullets out quicker and it'll probably hit him and kill him. So that's probably a really good technique to use, especially in this game because the recoil is almost the same. Same with the spray pattern as 1.6. So you can just come out, tap people, and then go into a spray. So like like that. But once again, in this game, it's a lot harder to spray in, especially at distance, because when you're shooting, your bullet's going to fly, I guess, off your crosshair more. So even though you're shooting straight, you notice how that bullet didn't go straight into the crosshair? You see how it's to the left, the upper left a little bit? That's going to happen. Hopefully they fix the game so it doesn't do that, but yeah. You got any other questions about bursting or anything?
No, I think that's good.
Okay, cool. So come in and practice some burst shots. Come on, CT or T, doesn't matter. Can you reset the rounds, Anna? Thank you. And then I'm gonna go. So let's see. Some of you want to practice. Come up, cat with me. We'll do this nice long wall over here. So what I want you to do is first start on tapping. So just sit here and start tapping your bullet like this.
Just anywhere on the wall.
Anywhere on the wall. Perfect. Now something that a lot of players would do that you don't want to do is they'll shoot 2 bullets, which happens to everybody, so it'll be like this. They'll start tapping and then shoot a second bullet. Like that when they're tapping, and you don't want to do that second bullet because what's going to happen is it starts your recoil and it kind of messes it up from being a straight bullet, and that second bullet's going to fly off to the right. So if you're trying to aim it ahead at a long distance and you accidentally do your second bullet, it's probably not going to hit his head because of the way this game's made. So you want to make sure that if you are like, let's say you're on cat and you're trying to shoot a guy at long, I wouldn't burst, I would just single shot tap like that. So you never want to accidentally shoot a second bullet. Now if you're bursting, it's okay because when you burst, you want to shoot 2 to 3 bullets in this game because it's really accurate. You won't have a bullet fly anywhere. That's why a lot of players are 2-shot bulleting, especially with a Colt, because after 2 shots in the head, they're dead. Especially if you're aiming for the head. But you'll have some players that will aim for like the upper chest and they'll shoot 3 just so the bullet will go to the head, the last one. My personal opinion, I think Zondo's the same, is 2 bullets are the best for Colt. So if you're trying to shoot somebody and battle them at a medium range, maybe even a long, it just really depends, just start doing 2-shot bursts. Yeah, just like that. Now you see how you accidentally shot 3 there, and that one went up to the sky?
Yeah.
That's something you don't want to happen, especially if you're aiming for the head, because that bullet will go over his head. Perfect. So that's pretty much what you have to do on your own, is just go on a server and start working on it. And just look at the spray and everything. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it on bursting, tapping, and all that fun stuff. Next, you want to talk about hardware. So I'm assuming like mouses and mouse pads, like what to use and stuff.
Yeah.
It's really personal opinion. As of right now, let's see, I've used probably like 6 or 7 different mouses over the times. Same with mouse pads. My favorite so far has been a QCK Plus for a mouse pad. I just like the feel of it with most of the mices. And then I'm using the Xi right now from SteelSeries. I like it. I think it's pretty good. I like the fact that I can change a lot of my settings on it. And I used to use, let's see, the MX510, the MX518, and the Intelli Mouse 3.0. Those were some of my other favorite ones. I don't really think a mouse is that big of a deal besides the fact of how it feels on your hands. So like you need to make sure you get a mouse that fits your hand right, and then that should be okay. Because most of the mices today are pretty good. I mean, they're all pretty much the same with just a different laser in it. And the biggest thing that I look for is just how does it feel on my hand. So, like the Xi
optical or laser?
I don't think it really matters because laser I think picks up more. It's more sensitive than the optical. It's going to matter more with like the mouse pad you get, but I've never really been concerned about it. I just go with whatever mouse feels right for me and then whatever mouse pad feels best for me.
Okay.
And I think that's how most players are.
Like a pretty good sized mouse pad, because right now I have a small one.
Yes, especially if you have low sensitivity.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it equates to, but it's like, it's pretty low.
What's your mouse that you're using?
Razer Death Adder.
Okay, and what's the default on that for the DPI? Is it 16?
1800.
Oh, 18. Then what's your in-game?
I'm not really sure how it works in this, but it's like really far to the left.
Open up your console and type in sensitivity. What's the number that it says?
1.19.
Okay. That seems about right. You should be fine with that because of your high DPI. Like, I'm using 400 DPI with a 2.0 in-game. So, pretty much the way it works, if you want to find out, like, if, let's say you're, like, trying to change mouses or anything like that, all you have to do is you take your DPI and times it by your in-game sensitivity. And whatever that number comes out to is what your CPI is. So...
Okay.
And then that can kind of help you whenever you change your stuff to get the same CPI as you did on your last setup. And I think you said something about keyboard before. I just use a Logitech keyboard. I mean, I've always just used like default Logitech keyboards. Nothing like too expensive. I don't see the point in it. I know some people might argue that you might get better clicks or it's more sensitive when clicking on better keyboards, but I don't really know. I've always used crappy keyboards and I've never had a problem.
Alright.
I think it's more important on your mouse and your mouse pad. Yeah. Let's see. Then you want to know best way to improve aim, right?
Yes.
You want me to be honest?
Yeah.
Just playing. There's nothing really you can do to improve your aim besides playing. There's no like tricks. I know there's a lot of people sitting here saying like to practice on your muscle memory, but your muscle memory will come over playing. There's no way to really speed it up. And the best way to improve your aim in game is knowing at least your guns, how the recoil works, making sure your bursting is good, making sure your tapping and spray is good, and making sure your movement is good. Because a lot of times people miss shots, especially oppers, because they move too early. And it messes up their shot. Even though it looks like their crosshair was on, their shot actually missed because they moved. And it's the same thing with people using Colts. One of our buddy actually used to, when he's aiming, like with Zondo over there, and one of our buddies, what he would do, he would pre-shoot before he actually aimed onto his target, so it would look like this. You ready? So you do this before he got there. And what that does is it messes up your recoil because you're shooting your first accurate shot before your aim is even on the target. So you don't want to do something like that either. And I know there's a lot of people out there that do that, and they just don't know it. They're not conscious of it because they're playing, and they're not really focusing on what they're doing. So my biggest thing is make sure that your crosshair is on the guy before you shoot, and make sure your movement is good, and make sure you know your actual guns, how the recoil works, how to burst, and how to tap with it. And just play a lot. I mean, if you play a lot, you'll get better at your aiming. I don't think sensitivity has too much to do with your aiming because your body should be able to get used to whatever sensitivity or mouse or whatever you're using. And it should be able to adapt. Because I've used so many different settings in this game, and it's never helped me improve my game at all. It's always just been consistently the same. I think it's all preference, especially like resolution. If you play better because you like higher resolution, because you like graphics, then do that. Don't go down to a lower resolution for no reason. So, anything else with that? Any questions?
No, you pretty much covered it all.
Alright. And then, let's see. When to peak and when not to peak. Oh, this one's a fun one. So... this type of subject, just like with clutching and everything, because I'm going to try to get a clutch video out soon, it's just over time, like you're going to learn when to peek, when not to, but the best thing you can do is, let's imagine we have the bomb down, right? And you're a CT, and the bomb's down, and you're a CT, and you're coming up cat, and you don't know where he's at. Let's say you start getting up here, and he is at long, okay? And you find that out by coming up here. Now, if you sit here and you get on the bomb, you might be okay depending on where he puts the bomb at, right? so you won't really have to peek this guy. Now, if he's up close, like let's say Zondo's up close on this corner down here to the right, when to peek him, you always want to try and aggress this guy, right? So you want to make sure you come out and you make your presence kind of known. And then when you go back, you want to try and click the bomb and then kind of fade away so he doesn't see you. So he has to come up and check where you're at to see if you're actually on the bomb. And then you can re-peek him at that point in time, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you want to make sure your crosshair placement's good when you're peeking too, because go spec real quick, I'll show you. We'll use CAD as the example. So when you're trying to peek somebody, so let's say you're here and you're peeking this corner, which I don't personally like this corner that much when peeking because you could have a really good opper who'll outpick you. But let's say you're peeking this corner and the guy comes in and you take a shot and you fall back real quick. To re-peek, if you're going to re-peek, you need to do it quick and just do like a one-shot tap like that, because you might get a lucky headshot and it's really quick for him to try and hit that shot back onto you. Now, if it's an opper, you need to be a little bit more careful. When you try and peek, you just want your model to peek. So let's say you peek right here, right? And obviously you can see him. But your whole half of the body is sticking out at this point. So when you're playing versus an opper, you want to make sure you only peek like that much, because you just want your body to show, not your physical screen. Because once your screen shows, that means your body halfway out. So you do something like that, because he should be able to see your body. You just keep doing it until he shoots. Then once he shoots, you can try and re-peek again and get him. Or, you know, change your position and get over here so he doesn't expect you to be on this side. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so another example would be, let's say there's two guys coming cat on you. One's on this side and the other guy's over here. And you are trying to peek him because you know you're kind of stuck. You could run away, but you just want to try and get the kill here. My best opinion, and it's also going to depend on like if you have flashes and stuff. You want to try and bait this guy into you, because a lot of times players don't work together, and this guy could hear you fighting with him. So what he's going to try and do is come around the corner and do something gay like that on you. So what you could do is, in the back of your mind, is think about this guy on the right and do like some quick peeks here, and then you can even do something like this. You can come right here, just start tapping, act like you're messing with him, and then just wait for a second for that guy to come around the corner, because a lot of times he's going to come around once he hears you stop firing. So that's one way that you could do that when it comes to peeking. So just kind of peek this guy real quick, take a couple shots, fall back, shoot a little bit more to make him think that you're still aiming at the guy, and wait for him to come around the corner. Because you shouldn't re-peek in a situation where they kind of have the advantage right here, because if you peek, they can both peek you at the same time. But if you're the one kind of staying back a little bit, you're pretty much making them peek you one at a time. If that makes some sense there. Especially on an angle like this.
Trying to outsmart them.
Yeah, pretty much. That's all peeking is. It's just outsmarting, and knowing when to peek is just experience. Because over like the 8 years I played this game along with a lot of other people, you kind of learn over time when to peek people. So like I've been in this situation where, let's say I'm trying to retake B and it's a one-on-one and the guy's behind this box. I've probably done this situation 1,000 times with all the times I've played. So I know, depending on how he's peeking or what side he peeks, or what I can do to try and fake him out. So like I could come over here, toss a flashbang off that wall to kind of half flash him and run in at the same time and take a wide angle to kill him. So, you know, I could do something like that. I could even, if I have a flash, I could throw it like down there and then turn my back and kind of walk in. Once it goes off, I'm already at an angle and I can kill him. Because what he's going to do is, if he sees a flash, he has to turn and he has to go away. So if you're right here and he sees a flash come over, he's going to turn like this real quick. So what you can do is like come in at the same time to peek him and turn your back, and once it goes off, you turn around and kill him. You know, so you can do stuff like that. And in all honesty, it's just about experience. So it's really hard to teach people how to peek, but that's the best advice that I can give you. Because there's no situation where you can be like, well, you have to peek him at this certain time every time in this situation, you know? Yeah, and sound.
There's too many other factors.
Yeah, exactly, and sound is a big thing, like what Zondo just said. Like, for let's say I'm a terrorist and I have the bomb down and Zondo's coming into the site, okay? And I'm playing, let's see, I'm playing here, okay? So I have a couple different situations when it comes to peeking on this. I could either be aggressive peeking, so I could sit here and wait for him to come. So what this is going to do is now he knows where I'm at if I miss my shot, okay? Or he could even outshot me here. He could just one-shot me randomly and kill me, and that would really piss me off. Or I could sit here and hide. I could look at the window, you know, count a couple seconds and look back here, and then just keep doing this type of thing, which is what a lot of people do, and just see if he's trying to walk in. Or I can just wait for sound. So if I hear him running in, I could just play Ring Around the Rosie, you know. If he taps the bomb, I'm not going to peek. I'm going to count to like 2 or 3 seconds before I peek because it takes 5 seconds to defuse. So I would be like 1, 2, and do something like that, you know. And if I see he's not there, then I'm just going to keep playing Ring Around the Rosie to delay the bomb.
To go back on hardware, I kind of forgot about it, but I'm guessing a good headset is a crucial point.
What's that?
A good headset is like a crucial point.
Yeah. But I know a lot of Invite players who use a $20 headset and they're just fine. So it's really just a matter of opinion. I try and get a decent headset just because I want my sound to sound the best.
Okay.
Like I have a SteelSeries 5H, which is decent, but there's better ones out on the market now. I just don't feel like spending the money to go buy it. Because the 5H has worked for me for like the past couple of years that it's been out, so I don't really see the point to change. And I think a lot of people, like 1.6 players, like in that game, sound was a huge thing because the way you can hear stuff, you can hear stuff all the way across the map when it comes to guns. But like in this game, it's so hard to hear sound that you're not even relying on sound anymore. In a lot of situations, you're relying on your aim. So, but yeah, overall, a good headset does help you. But it's not going to make or break you from being a really great player. I think sound helps you in situational purposes, like when you have the bomb down and you have to listen for when he hits the bomb. Or if you're waiting for a team to rush out, like let's say you're playing this spot, you're waiting for a team to rush the tunnel, you can hear how many are coming out. So like let's say I hear 3 footsteps coming out, right? So I know there's going to be 3 guys, so I can let the first 2 pass, hit the third one, and hit the other 2 in the back when they run by, you know? So it's that type of hearing, I think, that helps. But I don't think headsets on the market today are really that different. So anything you really buy is going to sound pretty much the same. Which there's going to be a lot of people that are going to disagree with me, and that's fine. But from all the things I've used, I've never really noticed too big of a difference.
Okay.
Yeah, noise cancellation. So yeah, that's a pretty good point too. So as long as your headset is canceling out like noises in the background, that's something that is really helpful. Like mine's pretty good at it. Like the 5H cancels it really good, but it's not the best. Yeah. So, what headset do you use, Zonda? Okay, so he uses the PC 350s, but they'll probably be a lot more money. But if you want to spend that money, that's perfectly fine. And let's see. So is that pretty much like give you a good idea on like when to peak? I mean, I know it's kind of like it really is just situational based, and you'll kind of learn it over time. Watching demos of other players play is always a good thing. So that'll help you learn.
Definitely helpful.
Like when you're ESCing, because I see you ESCing a lot, watch other players and see what they do. I'll try and get a video out too on like how to watch players and what to learn from watching people, and how to take good information and bad information from them. But just watch a lot of players that you see getting some frags. There will be some players that get frags, but they're the dumbest players in the world. They just have better aim than the person they were going against. So yeah. Let's see. What do we have left? Is there anything else you want to talk about, or?
Not anything I can think of right now.
Okay. Well, I think then we're pretty much done. So biggest things about from today is make sure you learn your spray, your tap, and your burst. Because if you do that, it'll also improve your aim. Make sure you're doing your crosshair placements. I have the video up if you didn't see it, so watch that. And best way to improve your aim, just make sure you're playing a lot. And when it comes to peeking, it's going to be all situational. The biggest advice I can give to you is think of what the other player is doing and think of what you would do in his situation. So if you know that there's a guy at this box, for instance, and you're in tunnel, think about what you would do if you were in his spot. Because if you do that, then that will give you kind of an idea on what you should do in the spot that you're at. If that makes sense. Like for me, I'm kind of a more aggressive player, so I would peek a couple times, and if I'm not hitting my shot, I wouldn't peek again. I would call a teammate over. You know, so that's another thing that should help you with peeking. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. If you guys have questions, speak now.
Nope, I'm good.
Alright, cool deal. Well, thanks for coming today.
Thanks for all the help.
No problem, man.